Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. Excited to be connecting in with you today as we are coming to the close of July. I don't know about you, but for me, as I'm talking to people, we keep being surprised that it's the end of July already. It feels like this acceleration is happening. We're finding in the book publishing world and space that things seem to be accelerating, and almost feels like there's an urgency to bringing forward those things we're called to bring forward. That's what I keep feeling this acceleration around as I talk to people, different experts and speakers and influencers and authors, and what they're looking to bring forward. So I'm not sure if you're experiencing that or what you might be feeling this pull at your heart and your spirit today, but I want to encourage you to choose to be fully present. This show is for you. It's an opportunity for us to pour into you. So let's take a breath together. I always like to picture when I'm pausing and mindfully, purposely breathing, that I'm breathing in deeply through my nose all the way to my toes. All that serves. And then releasing all that no longer does, or that I'm ready to let go. And somehow that shift in just those few seconds can make such a big difference for me. I also find that when we breathe deeply like that, it lowers our stress levels or cortisol levels. It helps us become more present, mind, body, soul, and spirit, not just kind of half here, half there, but truly present. So I encourage you to do that today and to really listen. We're gonna take a moment here in just a little bit to tap into the heart so that we can really feel in and see what is truly coming from within you and really being called to come forward. So if you do have a lot of noise or things that are pulling at you, that you're feeling that urgency, that you're not being driven by that around you, but instead by that within you that is pulling you forward instead of pushing from the outside. Beautiful. Today, we have two amazing guests. They're going to help us really move forward and shine, stepping deeper into our resiliency. How are we able to do that when we have suffered a great loss or we have been betrayed? How do we get through that so that we can continue to show up in line with who we truly are and who we want to be and how we want to be? And the experts today are going to help us navigate those waters. So be present. Let's take a breath again. And as we do so, put both hands on your heart, close your eyes, you're absolutely safe. Beautiful. And in this space, take a moment to feel in as you hear and feel that heartbeat. What is it that you need today? What is it that will encourage you, empower, uplift you? What do you need today to support you on your journey? Just feel in, receive. We're not asking how. We're just identifying what it is you need today, that you're open and willing to receive. So you have choice on receiving. Beautiful. Receive that information. Go ahead and take another breath. Open up your eyes, become fully present. Beautiful, beautiful. And take a moment and actually write that information down. I encourage you to write down what was laid on your heart and spirit so you can keep it top of mind. So easy to get distracted and miss information or answers that are right in front of us because we move on to the next shiny thing. So let's keep top of mind throughout our time together today what it is that you need and are willing to receive. And actually be leaning in and excited about the unexpected and wonderful way that you never saw coming that this need gets to be met or received or move forward. Look forward to being surprised and open. Beautiful. With that, we're going to go around our virtual room here and see what was laid on our guest's heart when they took a moment to stop, pause, and listen. And I'd love to start with you, Dr. Debbie, when you took a moment to just stop and listen. What was laid on your heart?
Just a sense of security and safety and trust. It just felt good.
I love that you not only identified those terms, but how it felt too. I love that. So that it felt good. That safety, that security, and that you felt it too. I think sometimes we identify with our brain, but we forget to bring our heart and our feelings and our emotions into it. That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Great.
Sure.
How about you, Cheryl? What was laid on your heart?
Just that when I open to whatever my experience is, there are so many surprises available, and usually beautiful and life-affirming surprises. But I have to open first.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing so strongly as you said that we have to be willing to open. And then there can be these wonderful surprises that come, but only with permission. Like we have to be open and ready to receive. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. It reminds me when I first started speaking, I was really careful about how I presented myself. I made sure I looked a certain way. I used certain language. Everybody knew my credentials, like all these things. I would lead with all of that right in front of me because it created a barrier that I thought created safety. But what I discovered is actually created a separation that I was asking them to trust and be open and lean into a connection. And yet I wasn't willing to do that first. So I had to learn to be open, to be vulnerable, to take away that protective layer I had so that we could have that heart-to-heart connection. And just what you shared, Cheryl, just reminded me of that openness is so key and it's so important. I think sometimes we shy away because we're nervous or we feel vulnerable, but we have to be open to receive and to connect and to have those beautiful surprises. So I just love that you shared that. Thank you for tapping into that memory, that thought. And listeners, I'm not sure what it's prompting for you, but as we get ready to go to our first commercial break, I want you to really sink into what Dr. Debbie has shared, what Cheryl has shared, what I have shared, and really see what's being shared from within you. What is your heart and your spirit saying to you? And take these next couple of moments to be present, to receive, to process what's being shared, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Explore the poetry of Sam Yao. His book of poems, Soul's Journey, is a #1 international bestseller. Sam is a contemporary poet with a unique and highly relatable poetic style to convey the essence of spiritual truths for our time. Readers will find beauty, inspiration, and healing in his words. Get his book, Soul's Journey, today on Amazon.com or visit SamYaoPoetry.com. That's Sam, YAU, Poetry.com.
A Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that moment, an opportunity to pause, listen, receive. There's something magical and powerful about having a moment carved out just for you to integrate, to breathe in on a cellular level, as my grandmother used to say. Take that in on a cellular level. Let it integrate, become part of you, and release what no longer serves. And you can do that one moment, 2 minutes at a time. So I encourage you, we have those breaks designed on purpose throughout the show so you can process things real time and then take them with you instead of having them just on the to-do list. So I encourage you, take advantage and enjoy those 2-minute moments. Well, welcome back. We have been talking with amazing guests. We started in that heart place of what's really laid on our heart when we're looking at resiliency, when we're looking at what we're being called to bring forward and what we need today to support us and help us in doing that. It is my honor to introduce our first amazing guest, Cheryl Jones. She is a grief counselor, educator, speaker, and radio show host with over 300 interviews under the belt. She developed and taught a 3-year continuing education program as a manager of professional education. She is passionate about the transformation that sometimes occurs after deep loss. Let's lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and heart-centered Cheryl Jones to the show. Welcome.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Thrilled to have you here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this subject of grief, and I think this ties into resiliency too. And I think it's a subject we're not always excited to lean in and talk about loss or grief. And yet, when somebody opens a pathway to create a safe space to talk about it, we find we have so much to talk about and so much we want to learn and understand and process. So I'm celebrate you being here. I'm excited to open up this conversation. And I wanted to start with why. Why is this work around helping people with grief and through grief and process? Why is that personally so important to you?
My first wife lived with cancer for 10 years, and it was always quote unquote terminal. Now they call it life-limiting. She died in 1995. And the hard parts of that experience, of her illness, of her living with disability, of her death, of my grief, the hard parts were not surprising. Anyone could imagine what's hard about that. what was surprising was the change in me. I transformed utterly during that time. I never could have, for instance, been a radio show host earlier than that. My personality changed, and I realized over time that other losses had changed me as well, but I'd never felt such a complete and deep transformation. And so I feel my mission is to lay out the idea that, yes, the terrible is terrible, and if you learn how to support yourself through it, the good can come.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And again, I am so sorry for your loss. And I celebrate all the powerful, positive things that you have experienced in walking through that. But I'm truly sorry for your loss. And as I'm reflecting on that, 10 years is a long time. And to be present, to be walking beside her, and to have some of these surprises of how you're evolving and growing in that process, and walking beside her and in her passing and in your grief. Are there some changes, in addition to becoming a radio show host, that you discovered along the way?
Ironically, joy and ease. I like to share a story that exemplifies the change in me. Right before she died, we weren't leaving the house. It was, we knew that it was coming. And a friend came to give me a massage. And when she finished, she said, "You're the most relaxed person that I have ever touched."
Wow.
And the way I've always interpreted that is that I was entirely present. I was resisting nothing. I was just there. And that helped me a tremendous amount in my grief. If I cried, I cried. If I yelled, I yelled. Whatever it was that I needed, I gave myself if I possibly could. And I didn't experience grief as terrible, just intense. And that was a big shock. I became a lot less anxious. I used to be a very anxious person. I'm really not anymore. I became braver. Everything about me, I think I came more into my true self. But I thought those other things like anxiety were my true self. And they're not.
Interesting.
They're not. There's something deeper. So
and do you find, because I know you have
in the show.
Well, and I'm thinking about those are really powerful shifts that you experienced and have and were in that willingness to be fully in the experience without judgment, not judging as good or bad, but just really allowing and processing and being fully present in it. And then becoming a radio show host and interviewing over 300 interviews where you're exploring and you're talking about loss and grief. And I'm curious if you're seeing in what you have some patterns there. Are you seeing some similar things that people are becoming more of who they truly are as they're going through deep loss, or what are you seeing out there?
Oh my goodness, yes. It's been, I feel the radio show has brought me to my tribe because people who've experienced a deep loss and come through to a place where they've made something of it, we have some things in common. We have a capacity to allow ourselves the feelings that we have. Most of us have surrendered to our inside experience. We tend to listen to our rumblings more than our minds. What do I mean by that? There's a kind of different way of knowing that comes up from the body instead of down from the brain. And those messages are trustworthy. And they give us a sense of direction without a lot of efforting. I think most of my guests and I have that in common. And a higher capacity for joy. Isn't that ironic?
So interesting. It's not what we would expect. Yeah.
No, but it makes sense to me, because if you're resisting any feeling, it shuts down all feeling. It limits all feeling. So if you can be with a really negative emotion and love yourself through it, that will grow your capacity for intense joy.
Beautiful. I think that's a really powerful takeaway. Well, and it's an encouragement. I mean, I feel like for wherever a listener is right now in loss and has experienced something or something's coming up, that allowing themselves to really be with the emotion, understanding the difference between knowing and like our brain telling us, but really knowing and honoring that, and the willingness to really be with the emotion and process and release allows this expansion, which can be so powerful. So I love that. And I think that's powerful information for anyone listening today, because we have all experienced loss, or someone we know has. So none of us escapes this. And to be able to navigate it powerfully helps build our resilience, helps us rise again. And I love how it's created this expansion and more of who you truly are, not maybe who you thought you were, has come forward so beautifully. And one of the things you've done is you've written a novel. And so I wanted to take a couple moments and have you share a little bit about your novel.
That came as a complete surprise to me. I was not one of those people who grew up thinking I would write a novel. But again, it does relate to what we're talking about, because I kept trying to write a book about grief, and I could not do it. Someday maybe I will. I could not. And then one day I had one of those things I'm talking about, and it was, what if you told the story through people? And once I had that thought, characters started populating my brain, which I never believed in before. And then the characters told me what they were going to do, pretty much. And it poured out in, I think, about a month. Then, of course, there's years of editing and all that. But the story itself, the book is still, I didn't change the story. Once it poured out, that was what happened. And many people have read it and think that it's autobiographical, which some of the things that happen are experiences I've had, but I am not any of those people in the book. So I think it has something to do with me trusting what came to me and inhabiting it. And, you know, I can think of reasons why the story is the story, but that's not really the point. The point is that it ended up being a way to reflect what I was trying to say, and it was powerful to do it.
Beautiful. I love it. And then your willingness to bring it forward and to share it. So I'm so excited by that. Books are one of my favorite things. So at the end of our show, we're going to make sure you share the title, where we can find it, how we can go deeper into connecting with you. But prior to that, we're getting ready to go to our commercial break. And I just wanted to see, as you're reflecting on our conversation, is there something popping into your head or your heart or your spirit, that knowing that you want to give as a thought to our listeners as we get ready to go to our next break?
I always like to end an interview like this saying the following, and it's really on my heart big right now. Grief knows what it's doing. It's us who have to learn to listen to grief. We have to learn to let it be in our bodies. We have to learn how to feel safe with it. But grief itself is a biological function that our bodies are capable of. We're just culturally trained out of it, but we can find our way back to it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Listeners, as we get ready to go to our next commercial break here, I encourage you to really take in Cheryl's words and wisdom around grief. And we'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just a moment.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for The Power of Young People to Change the World, hosted by NYLC CEO Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that break and that moment to really just ponder and think about Cheryl's words and how have we been approaching grief, and perhaps we've expanded some of the tools in our toolbox of maybe how we can be open and be more present with grief versus perhaps the way we've been approaching it. So I hope that you've taken some great tips to support you on your journey. And continuing our conversation about resiliency and how do we shine, how do we keep moving forward those things that matter most. Another area that I find comes up for people are betrayal, where we have felt betrayed. And we are stuck and that wound keeps coming back. We're not quite sure how to rise again or how to keep moving forward with resilience and on purpose in being who we are and how we want to be in that. So I'm really in this. Dr. Debbie Silberg is the founder of Post-Betrayal Transformation Institute and is a holistic psychologist a health, mindset, and personal development expert, #1 best-selling author. She has been seen on Fox, CBS, The Dr. Oz Show, and TEDx twice. She is an award-winning speaker who is passionate about helping you move past betrayal and blocks to live the life you truly want. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Dr. Debbie Silver to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to our conversation.
I am as well, excited to have you on the show and really looking into this subject. And I think it's something we don't talk about a lot, other than we might vent to somebody or relive the wound. We don't always know what to do with it or how to move forward with it. So I'm just excited to be able to have you here so we can get support in that and in moving past that block and moving forward. But before we get into your amazing content, I wanted to know why. Why is this work of helping people move through betrayals and blocks, why is that personally so important to you?
Yeah, I don't think anybody says, I think I want to study betrayal. No, it doesn't work like that. This is actually my 30th year in business. And as life would change and grow, well, so would the business. So I started in health and mindset and personal development. And then I had my own trauma, betrayal from my family. Thought I did the work I needed to do to heal. And then a couple of years later, it happened again. And this time it was my husband. So I looked at those two experiences, and what was in common was me. I never took my needs seriously. I was last on the list. So something drastic had to change. So I got him out of the house. And here I was with 4 kids, 6 dogs, a thriving business. And I said, that's it. I'm going back for a PhD. And I had no idea how I was going to pay for it, do it, but I was determined. And it was in transpersonal psychology, the psychology of transformation and human potential. And while I was there, I did a study. I studied betrayal, what holds us back, what helps us heal, and what happens to us physically, mentally, and emotionally when the people closest to us lie, cheat, and deceive. And that study led to 3 groundbreaking discoveries, which changed my health, my business, my family, my life.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm always deeply moved when we have our own personal story, the experience we have, and you had multiple that are transformed into positive action. and you did that. You had these realizations, you made the shift. And then not only that, you decided to go deeper, take things to the next level and do research on this and found some amazing discoveries that we're going to get to talk about a little bit today. And I think that is really, really powerful. And I thank you for your willingness to go on that path and to bring information like this forward. So thank you for sharing why this work is important to you. And would you like to share some of those groundbreaking results or discoveries that you had in that research?
Sure. Oh, happy to. So the first was, I had been through death of a loved one. I had been through disease. I was in the ICU for 11 days. So, but I felt, I don't know, there was something about betrayal that just felt different, and I didn't want to assume. So I asked all my study participants, and I said, if you've been through other traumas besides betrayal, does it feel different for you? Unanimously, they all agreed it's so different, and it's so different because it feels so intentional. So we take it so personally, and the whole self has to be rebuilt. Rejection, abandonment, belonging, confidence, worthiness, trust. So that type of healing needed its own name, which is now called post-betrayal transformation. That's the complete and total rebuild after your experience and of yourself after an experience with betrayal. So that was the first discovery. Want me to go to the next one?
I want to give us a moment to take that in because that was really powerful. This, that happens to us, and yet we take it so personally, so deeply in different ways maybe than we take other losses, and that you just found that across the board, and that it's actually a syndrome that we struggle from consistently, those who have experienced betrayal. So I just want to give everyone a moment to take that in. So powerful. And then, yes, I'd love to know the next.
Sure. So the second discovery was that there's actually a collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional. so common to betrayal, it's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. And what's interesting is we have the post-betrayal syndrome quiz on our site to see to what extent someone is struggling. And we've had easily over 25,000 people take it. There's a question that reads, is there anything else you'd like to share? And we've all heard time heals all wounds. I have the proof that's not true, because people write things like, my betrayal happened 40 years ago and I can still feel the hate. My betrayal happened 35 years ago. I'm unwilling to trust again. My betrayal happened 10 years ago. It feels like it happened yesterday. So we know that while time may soften it a bit, it needs a very specific protocol to heal. So that was the second discovery, that there is this actual condition called post-betrayal syndrome, this collection of symptoms.
Wow. But it also sounds like in the discovery of that it's not necessarily that it passes in a certain amount of time. People can carry this wound unless it's fully healed for years and years and years, it sounds like. So there's a myth being busted right there in taking that in. And yet you're able to still help people move through that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, that actually is about the third discovery, which was while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and so many of us do, if we're going to fully heal, we'll move through 5 now proven predictable stages. And what's even more exciting about that is we now know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every one of those stages, and we know what it takes to move from one stage to the next. What's so exciting about that is healing is now predictable. And that when that discovery showed itself, that was so exciting, because now there is a roadmap. I mean, if you're just willing to do what it takes to move from one stage to the next, you will move from symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome to that complete and total healed state of post-betrayal transformation.
Wow. And we just need to take the steps. I love that.
That's really it. And I'm happy to share the stages with you, but it's what's so interesting is we have every right to get and stay stuck. I mean, we've been betrayed. I mean, this was the person, these were the people who gave us a sense of safety and security. So when this is the person, these are the people to shatter that very sense of safety and security. It's devastating. And it's a lot to move through. So there are so many reasons why we stay stuck, but we don't have to.
And I think that's so important for everyone to hear today, that we don't have to stay stuck. We can move through the steps. And if you're still experiencing those feelings and emotions from something that happened 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 years ago, that it still feels fresh, to know you're not alone in that, and that you also can move forward to fully being healed. And I would love for you to share for a listener today who is saying, that sounds amazing. I love that. Where can I go to take the test? Because I want to know if what the symptoms I'm thinking or the feelings I'm thinking are falling under this post-betrayal syndrome. So 1, I'd love for you to share that. And then 2, is there a common first step people can take? Yeah.
So thank you. So everybody should take that quiz. This way they'll see to what extent they're struggling, and they can just find that at the PBT, as in post-betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com/quiz. The first absolute thing I recommend is, and this is going to sound odd to say this first, but if you have to say this 100 million times to yourself, it's so worth it. Even though it happened to you, it's not about you. It's not about you. And when we say that enough times, and in the beginning, we will simply not believe it. When we say it enough times and at least open ourselves up to it, we'll finally get to that place where we understand, from that place where that person was in their experience, that's what they knew to do. Because someone from, resonating at a much higher level of consciousness wouldn't hurt a fly. So we see that so often. So I recommend just making sure it's not about you. And awareness is absolutely the first step. So when you know what stage you're in, then you know, okay, well, here's where I am. Am I willing to do the work to move forward? Because quite honestly, there were 3 groups who did not heal. And happy to share those groups too. But that's it. We know what it takes to heal, but that doesn't necessarily mean we want to.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think that's important to know too, that there's a choice in all of this, and are we willing to take the steps? Are we willing to choose? There's not a magic wand. At least it doesn't sound like it. I know we look for that, the magic pill, the magic wand. There's a process we need to go through, if I'm understanding correctly, and we're an integral part of that, and there's choice in that. So powerful. So going to your site, they can take this quiz and really get a feel for where they are on things. And does it show them not only, yes, you are falling within this range, here's a next step. I would love to know what happens when they take the test, the quiz.
Yeah. So they will see. I mean, because the quiz can, with some people I've heard, it's a bit jarring because there are symptoms they're walking around with for decades that they're attributing to stress or aging. No, it's not. It's the unhealed betrayal. So they'll see exactly what the betrayal has caused. And I'll tell you, we can spot an unhealed betrayal a mile away. We see it in health. We see it in work, in relationships. For example, in relationships, we'll see it in one of 2 ways. The first is repeat betrayal. If there's a repeat betrayal, it's an unhealed betrayal where the faces change. You keep going from friend to friend to friend, partner to partner to partner, boss to boss to boss. You say, what the heck, is it me? Yes, it is. Only in that, not that it's your fault. Each person is coming into your life to show you there's a profound lesson that needs to be learned, that you are lovable, worthy, and deserving, that you need better boundaries in place, whatever it is. And until and unless you get that, you will keep getting opportunities in the form of people to show you. The second way we see it, people put the big wall up. They say, nope, been there, done that. I'm not letting anybody get close to my heart again. It hurt way too much. And they think it's coming from a place of strength, and it's not. It's fear. That was so painful that they just don't want anyone getting near their heart again. So we need to see where we are to see what needs to change in order to move towards post-betrayal transformation.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think that's so important and so valuable. And I hope encourages a lot of our listeners to lean in and, find out where you are. And perhaps some of these patterns, some of these things that we've been doing are because of a betrayal that has happened that we can have an opportunity to choose to heal from and move forward. So I think that's really, really powerful information for all of us listening today. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do that, is there any final thought you'd like to give our listeners as they take a couple moments to process what's been shared?
Yeah, this could be something. Here's the thing with betrayal. You didn't see it coming. You weren't supposed to see it coming because, here you were abiding by the rules. You were doing what you thought was best. You were abiding by those spoken or unspoken rules within the relationship. So it's not that, it was you. Why weren't you this enough, that enough, the other thing enough? That wasn't it at all. So much of this is this breaking down and dismantling of all of the shaming and the blaming, and just move towards healing. Yes, you're in a club you never wanted to be in, but I'm living proof, and so are the people within the PBT Institute. You can heal from all of it. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Listeners, as we go to our next commercial break, I want to give you an opportunity to digest some of what Dr. Debbie has shared, and just what really stands out to me, that it happened to you, but it's not about you. And that you have choices on how you get to move forward and through and be healed. And I just think that's so powerful. And I appreciate your thoughts that we may not have chosen this. It happened, but we don't have to stay there. So I think that's really hopeful and helpful. We'll look forward to continuing our conversation, and we'll let you know how to connect with both of our amazing guests in just a moment.
Introducing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
You can like and comment on the Voice America Empowerment Channel Facebook page. This is the place to get and share advice from some of the best leaders on the planet. Get started today by searching for Voice America Empowerment or click the like button under the player today.
Follow the Voice America Empowerment Channel on Twitter. You already know we're full of great ideas, and our hosts have plenty to say. We want to hear from you, too. Be sure to follow us at VA Empowerment and come back every day to see what's next.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that break, that moment to stop and really take in the information you're learning about betrayal and things that perhaps have happened to you and some ways you can move forward. And I think the quiz is just a great step along that way to really do a check-in and see where you're at and see what some of the next steps might be if you find that you are suffering from some of the common experiences that fall under the post-betrayal syndrome. So I just think that's really powerful information. Excited to bring that to you. And as we promised throughout the show, we would let you know how to connect with our amazing guests. I want you to be able to build a connection and relationship with them and go deeper. So with that, I'm going to have Cheryl, if you could share what is the best way for people to connect with you, and please also let them know the title of your novel and where they could get a copy for anyone that pulls at their heart.
Absolutely. I'll start with the book. It's called An Ocean Between Them, and it is, interestingly, about betrayal from my point of view and how the two characters heal from that. So it's right in line with today. It's available anywhere you buy books, and I think it's also loanable as an ebook at the library apps. So that's the book. My website is weatheringgrief.com, and there's links to everything I do on there. And my radio show is Good Grief at the Voice America Network, and every show I've ever done in the 8 years, it's probably closer to 400 interviews now, is available there, and also at iTunes, Stitcher, etc.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing and joining us today. We always love having one of our family hosts on the show. So thank you for being available and sharing. I appreciate it. And then Dr. Debbie, I would love for you to share the same. What is, give us the site for the quiz again, and then what is the best way for us to connect in with you and go deeper?
Sure. So for the quiz, everybody could just go to the PBT, again, as in post-betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com/quiz. If you want to move through the 5 stages, the 4-step trust rebuilding process, my personal stories, stories of study participants, then you may want to check out my book, Trust Again, Overcoming Betrayal and Regaining Health, Confidence, and Happiness, which is essentially the dissertation boiled down in a reader-friendly way, because it didn't make sense if only 3 people, the research committee, would read it. So I have at least 250 studies in there. It's intense, but it will move you through the stages. And instead of just going to Amazon for that, if you get it from this link, you can get a bunch of goodies too. So that's thepbtinstitute.com/trust again.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that research and your findings with us, making it available in a user-friendly format, because, yes, the dissertations are not as easily understood. So I appreciate that. And the best way for people to connect with you. And just quickly, as we're coming to a close here, I'd love for you each to share just a final 15, 20-second thought that we can give our listeners today they can take with them to encourage them on their journey. So, Dr. Debbie, let me start with you.
Yeah, I would really encourage everybody to consider you've been through the worst of it already. You owe it to yourself to heal. I didn't do anything anyone else couldn't do. But healing is on the other side of your trauma. There's a version of you so healed, so healthy, so confident, so strong, waiting for you when you move through the stages.
Beautiful. Thank you. Cheryl, how about you?
What sits on my heart right now is that in order to face challenge and loss, we need to be able to be with ourselves, and we also need community. That's why something like this show is so important. We need other people. And so find someone that you can trust with your grief, someone that'll walk with you, whether it's a counselor or a friend, whoever it is. We need people that'll take us as we are.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Listeners, I want you to feel our support, our love, our connection. Life is not a solo journey. We are here for you, and I encourage you to reach out to both of these amazing experts to support you on your journey, and then bring those connections into your life. Be open to receiving them and the support, and trusting others around you to walk beside you and with you in a real, whole, powerful way. I hope that you have an amazing week, that you take a couple moments at the end of today's show just to process fully what has been laid on your heart. Take a breath before you head back out to the world. And as you do so mindfully, purposely, and in alignment with who you truly are called to be. Choose to bloom where you are planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter.
Next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.